Hello friend, welcome in Study with Manish session, and today, as you know that our topic is why service principle we are using in Azure development and what is its significant is, because it's a very important we should know the fundamentals of service principle. So before going to start to know about all those things, first I want to understand what is service principle. Service principle is just like a agent. Rather than organization is giving credentials to a particular user's name, they are giving credentials on particular ID's name. That ID is called identity. That identity have a certain level of access, and that ID have a capability to run particular kind of systems, particular kind of pipelines to automate the system, because it is a very important in the organization level, because if they will give credentials to run particular system on the name of any user, and that user will leave the organization, after that who will run that particular system? So better to give credentials to a particular ID, and that ID will access have a capability to access Azure resources, to run the pipeline, to automate the systems, and to work a certain level of task. It have a different level of credentials like owner level, deployment level, contributor level. So it can do perform the task based on the level of access and authorization that service principal have. Now we need to understand what Microsoft is telling about the service principal. Microsoft is saying Azure Service Principal is an identity create for use with the application, hosted services, and automated tools to access Azure resources. Means Service Principal is an identity. Service Principal is just like a particular agent. This access is created by the role assigned to the service principal and giving you control over which resources can be accessed and what level. So the level of authorization which will provide to the service principal or ID or identity, it will work based on the level of access it have. So if we will give the owner level access, service principal will behave like a owner of that particular Azure resources. If we will give the contribute level, it have a capability of a contribute level of kind of agent it will work. So it will more or less it will work like a user only, but that ID is not a particular user. It is a independent of any user, and this ID have a credentials, ID and credentials. So so that's why I mentioned here service principal is just like a virtual agent. So now we will see in Azure subscription that how we can create service principal. So firstly, I will click on the subscription. You will find I have a two active service principal, two active subscriptions are here. So basically this service principal I am using it. This subscription I am using it, not service principal. Now I need to click it here as your active directory. In the Azure Active Directory, you will find here there is one option is app registration. In app registration, you will click it here. Now you have to click on the new registration, because you are creating a app registration. You need to create a new registration. Here you have to give a meaningful name. So I'm just giving my study with Manish SP service principal. So it have a couple of options are here, single tenant, multi-tenant, and these options are here, but actually it is my personal tenant, means I have only one tenant. So in one tenant, we can create a multiple Azure resource groups. So I will use this option, and yeah, so now I will click it, register this. So now you will find this service principal created. Now what next you will do it? Because service principal is created. Now you have to create its credentials. So where you will go it here, certificate and secrets. Here you will click here, new client secret, because this is the new client secret. So I am just giving my secrets, and I'm just giving 3 month time. So after 3 months, we have to renew this service principal credentials. So always remember it. It is only one time visible. So it will valid 7/23/20, means it will valid till this particular date, and this is the credential of this particular service principal. This service principal is the ID, the service principal name.